I'm trying to figure out how to like push for backstories now that I think about it, because I don't want to be like, hey, give me a backstory, you're not playing. But how would I do that? How would I like advocate for backstories?
Just keep talking about it, and like just reward players with good backstories.
Just keep bringing it up in conversation of like, oh, this was in your backstory, or
more so like leading up to the campaign. Like I'll send more than a few text messages out to just be like, hey, like if you have a backstory, like I want to make it totally clear.
Right.
If you have a backstory, if you have any ideas about your character, please let me know.
Okay.
And then I will reward them reciprocally, right?
Right.
And so like if you give me a $10 backstory, then I'll give you $10 worth of content for the backstory, right? If you give me a $100 backstory, right, then you're getting $100 worth of plot for your character.
For your character.
If you give me $1 of backstory, which is essentially just like, I made the character sheet on the day of when we're starting the campaign. It's like, cool, you're going to get exactly, you'll be present.
You'll be there.
But I can't give you anything.
Right.
And so I think the more that I've rewarded good backstories, the more backstory that I've gotten in future characters.
Okay.
And so it's kind of building the habit of saying like, like you didn't give me anything. I'm sorry, there's nothing that I can do with that. I would love to give you stuff. And even if someone like has an idea that they're not really sure about, like I'll work with you on that. And I'll say like, okay, here's some ideas of like some factions that like I had in mind in that like maybe came from previous campaigns or some of my fun notes that I created for myself. And it's just like, hey, like let me pull from some of that, like what if they did this or what if they did that? And then it kind of like starts like that back and forth of like now we're generating ideas together. Okay. And so at no point am I like, give me a 5-page paper on your backstory, right? It's like, let's start with the funny character voice that you want to do, right? And then let's figure out what your class is, what your species is, and then it's like, okay, how do those things connect? And it's a lot of just asking questions. And so like, if someone comes to me with a character that's like from a pop culture something, then it's like, okay, I'll look into that, I'll see how it ties in, but there's really not much that I can do there. If someone is like, so I want to play like this type of character with like these types of challenges, it's like, cool, let's keep talking. And so it's really just like whatever effort that the player wants to put in, like I'm just putting in the same amount of effort.
Okay.
And so like that's like without explicitly saying like, sorry, there's nothing that I can do for your character unless you give me a better backstory. It's going to the characters at the table that have good backstories, and like that's the plot threads that we're going to follow. And so like the first few sessions might still be like, hey, we're all getting to know each other, we're fighting the monster of the week sort of thing. But then as things continue to evolve, it's like even in our last between our last private game sessions, like I sent out text to everyone because I knew that, hey, we had like scheduling hiccups, so we're gonna have a month-long gap. So like about halfway in between, let me send out some text messages of like, hey, this is a message that your character might have received during this time, and maybe here's like an item that you get, or some information that you get, or an advancement of your character's plot. And so then when we come back to the session, the next time that we're able to play, then it's like, okay, cool. Now everyone has something to share. And if you have something really great in your backstory that I could use, you probably have something great to share. If you don't, then you probably don't have much to share.
And that makes more sense now, because in our private game, when you sent that, you sent it all obviously privately, and when I got mine, it was like right in the middle, so I did technically forget about it when the session came about because I'm human. But when the time came and everyone started like pulling out their phones and we're all like looking at everything that we got, I remembered I looked and I was like, remembered everything that I had thought of before. And I was like, oh, that's right. You sent me, because the character I'm playing is a very nerdy book nerd type person. So the thing that I found was an invitation to like look into these factions of and like different schools of knowledge in a book. So that made sense for my character. It obviously didn't make sense for the barbarian character that we have, but for me it made sense. So, and that was all, you pulled everything from my backstory. So I get it now. I'm starting to get like not only the importance of the backstory, but the importance of like as a DM reading those backstories and like actually being able to not make up everything on your own per se, but be able to take their backstory, take their characters, and weave them into the ideas that you have to actually form a story.
Yeah.
Because I think now I'm seeing that the stigma of what we were talking about earlier of like the DM carrying the load isn't so true. Isn't as true as I thought. Because I didn't realize how much stuff you're actually pulling from us and like just granted other popular media, but also pulling from us. So I'm starting to get it a little bit more now. So now I kind of want to reach out to other people in our group and be like, hey, this is the small, the basic idea, and like this is what the characters kind of like should do, and give it to them and kind of see where they go with it.
Yeah.
Because I arguably we still have plenty of time in our current campaign, but this one I'm curious to see, because I am kind of hitting a roadblock and a writer's block per se.
Yeah.
With this campaign, so which is another reason why I want to do this video, because I've never done this before. So now hearing everything that you've found out over your forever DM punishment, and learning all this stuff, I'm starting to realize like this is a lot easier than I thought. Like at least for me personally, because it's like, I can improv all this stuff, and I'm comfortable in D&D, so now I can kind of open the my ideas up to everyone else at the table and go, hey, here's what do you think of this, and kind of give that project idea to everyone else and get feedback and then go from there.
Yeah,
I think is where I'm at now.
Yeah, I think that's good. I mean, when you're planning a campaign, like conventionally, like in the world of DMing, there's considered to be two types of DMs: planners and plotters. Planners like to have a plan for how the entire campaign is going to go, and they have everything all built out already. And so you can think of like some of the really high-level D&D shows that are out.
Yeah.
Like that have their own entire world and like source books about those worlds.
Yeah.
Like those are definitely planners. Plotters lean heavily into improv. They're looking for the next plot point, and they're much more eager to be like, yes, and, right?
Okay.
So your characters want to do that, and this is what happens, and this is what happens. And we'll kind of figure out the plot along the way, but I'm kind of just enjoying like figuring out where this is going to go, and we'll hit the plot points. But really, there's not a grand plan for the campaign. It's my belief that DMing is more of a spectrum between the two, where, like, yeah, some people might be extremely good at improv.
Right.
Some people might be much more comfortable figuring out every single detail. I think I float somewhere in the middle, where I like to plan the important stuff and then kind of follow the plot along the way, and then be like, oh, well, this would be a good time to introduce this, right? And so I really just would encourage you to figure out like what your style is. And then one of the reasons why it was very helpful when I wasn't the forever DM anymore, and we started introducing other DMs and to our group. Well, people from our group who became DMs, right?
No, we're going onto to Facebook and putting out a blast.
Right.
You know, hey, all local DMs, come to my address.
Right. But we started swapping out the DM seat because eventually I was burnt out on ideas.
Yeah.
Right. And so the reason that I was able to come to that session with like a whole map is because there was a 6-month gap where I was playing D&D and not DMing D&D.
Right.
And so it's like, yeah, like the DMs are playing as well, but there is still a level of responsibility of like planning the session and figuring out like the NPCs in the world and other just like de facto responsibilities that fall to the DM. Like scheduling is often one of those things of like figuring out when we're going to play next. But like I was able to do that because I was feeling refreshed. And so it's like in any given 6-month gap between campaigns, because we'll kind of do like campaign A part 1, B part 1, A part 2, B part 2. Right. In those 6-month gaps, it's like I'll probably take 3 months just to like relax a little bit.
Yeah.
And then like the next 3 months, I'm like, okay, I'm full of ideas, and I'm gonna start writing all this stuff down. I'm making maps, I'm making props, I'm like creating character sheets for NPCs, and then by the time that we get to the next part of my campaign or the start of a new campaign, like I'm excited and ready to go. And so that's like you got to make sure that like you are feeding whatever encourages your creativity a little bit.
Okay.
Because a lot of stuff does come from pop culture. I try not to rip things off directly, but I think if anyone spent like 10 to 15 minutes thinking about it, they'd be like, hey, wait a second.
Yeah. Is that thing from popular movie currently? And you're just like, maybe, I don't know.
What do you mean? I just saw that in theaters. Like, or I just went back and binge watched that entire trilogy. Like.
Yeah, exactly. A new season of said show was coming out, so I binged the whole season and got the, Yeah.
So I mean, really, like if you're taking care of yourself and you're feeding your creativity, and you're doing things that are exciting for you, and you're integrating your players' backstories, so it'll be exciting for them. I think at least that's what I've learned makes a good campaign.